when she says, can you give me your number? She called, she arranged, I'll come to Joburg, we will meet. Then when they met, she even said, no, let's meet or Tambo Ocean Basket. I know there are no cameras, because my husband in the WhatsApps was saying, no, let's meet international at the airport, intercon.
Hello guys, thank you so much for tuning in on the Hustlers Corner. Today we are hosting the Public Protector of South Africa, Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane. Sawubona kunjani ma?
Lochani, leyo imisile. Lochani, thank you so much for inviting me.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I appreciate it so much.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu nami ukuthi uzosivakashela. Ngeke ngaqala ngokuthi ngibanikeza ama guests wethu opportunity yokuthi bathumela ama questions wabo abanye.
Yes, I saw that because I'm following you on Twitter. For those questions, I'm ready to.
I think the first thing I'd like to hear is how are you healthy? Banjani ekhaya, unjani umndeni?
We're good. During the weekend we had our traditional so there was something like that. So I had a very hectic weekend because on Friday the 16th we had that, 17th we moved to my in-laws' place, but everything went.
Abantwana sebakhulile.
Bakhulile, I've got 2 kids and 3 grandchildren.
Wow, congrats. Okay.
Yeah, so bakhulile, they are fine. Yeah. They keep.
Before we get into politics, I would like to know first we're speaking to a lot of hustlers, young people that are building their own careers. It's more of an educational platform. It's not a political platform. We would like to know, the first question I'd like to ask is, what does it take to become a public protector for those that are studying out there, even those that are studying law?
The public protector position, you can be nominated. Actually, it's a nomination, more than an application for a position. But you are allowed to do that, to apply, because it's advertised. With me, it was a nomination. So I accepted the nomination. Somebody who nominated me, Shelley, approached me and then said, there's an advertisement and I know your qualities, your character, your experience, and I think you can be a good public protector. Would you accept the nomination? I said yes. I had to accept in writing, and then when she submitted my nomination, she had to also submit my letter which says I accept the nomination.
That's incredible. And what does the office entail? What is it for?
A public protector is an institution provided for in the Constitution. And in the Constitution, you'll find the public protector in Chapter 9 of the Constitution. So Chapter 9 is Section 181 of the Constitution, where normally you'd say, you'll hear people saying the Chapter 9 institutions in terms of the Constitution is not only the public protector. You have the public protector, you have the Auditor General, you've got the Human Rights Commission, you have the Gender Commission, you have ICASA, you have IEC, you have the Commission for Religious and Linguistics Affairs. So it's all those institutions which are provided for there. And these institutions, the Constitution says they must be independent, do their work without fear or favor. They are there to be supporting government in the performance of their duties. And in other words, we are there to identify problems. It's like a 360 degrees kind of institutions where members of the public approaches us because they can't appoint lawyers. Our services are free, and as public protector, our mandate is to investigate improper conduct by government officials, by the executive, because there's an additional mandate, a public protector, which I'm the only institution which investigate even the conduct of the ministers, the president, deputy president, premiers and MECs on how they conduct themselves. So what normally we do is that there's additional mandate, a public protector, where we investigate maladministration. Maladministration, it means it includes undue delay to process any service here government. You apply the ID, birth certificate, any service here government. It includes abuse of state resources. It includes abuse of power, where you'd find a public official just abusing their power, shouting at you, treating you badly. You can report them to us. Issues of bribery, you've applied for your license, your business licenses. And this podcast of hustlers, those who are listening, SMMEs, they struggle a lot because you might have delivered a service with government department, they are delaying to pay you. By expecter or that is wrong for government officials to do that. So you can report them to the public protector. So a public protector then, it needs to deal with all those maladministration so that we can break or uproot corruption, manifest to the proportional level. So that's what we do as a public protector. And as public protector, we don't have jurisdiction or asna mandate job investigator, private companies or private individuals or court judgments. We don't have a mandate to do that. But let's say you're in a private company, you got a contract with the public protector, and we will investigate that if we need maladministration, because it entails in the biobuti, it's state money. So you can't come and say, no, I'm a private individual, but you are using private state money. So we follow the state money, Tina, as public protector.
And then that office, where does it report to?
A public protector and all those Chapter 9 institutions, they report to Parliament. They report to the Speaker. We are accountable to Parliament. And in according reporting here to there's monies allocated to us. Though the challenge now is that those monies are allocated through departments. They are appropriated through departments. The Public Protectors one, the Human Rights Commission one is appropriated through the Department of Justice. So it means when it's allocated, it's then sent to the Public Protector from National Treasury. So Public Protector Act 90, we report on accountability, meaning how we use the state resources. Not to say I must account to Parliament why on this person I found they acted wrongly and explain myself there. I only explain myself regarding the issue of how we use the state resources. So all of us then, we are accountable to Parliament. And normally a Parliament, again, you'd find that the Speaker will delegate that to the Deputy Speaker. And the Parliament, they've established an office called the Office of Institutions Supporting Democracy. All these institutions. So that's our link. Because let's say we've got meetings, we've got things to bring to the attention of the Speaker as far as the independence of these institutions, how we are funded, and the challenges which we have. There's that also institution which is there.
That's incredible. It's interesting that one has been learning so much lately, and last week you had a media briefing, and obviously everybody was listening to what you had to say. For a layman in the street like me, or like Ubabus Kosana, Jerusalem 7 overall, summarizing your media briefing from last week, what would you like for him to know, an ordinary South African?
Maybe let's start here. Uguti, as the public protector, who's accounting to Parliament, who can only be removed by the same Parliament. Remember, interview was done openly.
Yes.
By an ad hoc committee, where even members of the public were consulted about my interview. And then after the appointment, I performed my responsibilities. So in terms of the Public Protector Act, you can only be removed as public protector when there's misconduct, incompetence, or you are incapacitated. Now, why I'm mentioning that, because I want to bring it then to any person who is not following actually what's happening in Parliament. Then kwaba again the issue if you can allow me, I hope it won't be too complicated.
Yes, ma'am.
There were several reports which as public protector I issue, meaning a complaint is lodged with the public protector. What do they do?
Yes, ma'am.
So we only investigate government. When I started as public protector, I then found that there's a backlog of investigations which were pending. Several of them which were left by my predecessor, Advocate Madonsela. Then remember, I inherit the work as officials, investigators who are legally qualified. As a public protector, those investigators are the ones who are doing the investigation. We've got 19 offices across the country. We've got investigators across the country. In each province, we've got a public protector representative, kind of provincial public protector. But then it's at the director level. So they've got staff under them, they do investigations. When they do investigations, they're the ones who are collating all the evidence, writing letters and all those. The matters which only comes to me are those where it involves possibly your CEOs, your ministers or your DGs of departments. Now, there was one matter which, actually not one, two of the matters which currently I'm before Parliament. I'm facing the issue impeachment. They want to remove me because I'm incompetent because of those reports. It relates to a report, a CX report, where a complaint was lodged by one Advocate Hoffman, who requested the public protector then, Advocate Madonsela, to investigate. It relates to the loans which were given to, actually it was a gift to what we call Bank Bank. Bank then were given all these monies. The allegations was they never repaid. Then there was a government during Mandela and Mbeki's time was approached by a London company called ECX, which that London company, it's like it has people who are working in their intelligence in London. And then during Mbeki's time, then Mbeki allocated that company to work with our intelligence in South Africa. By then it was called South African Secret Service, because they were saying during the apartheid ending, there was a lot of looting by the various Sanlam, Nabo Absa, and everyone. And then Tina CX, we can assist you to recoup that money. Understand? Identify who looted what, and I assist you, Gucci, you must recoup and get back that money. So when he lodged the complaint to Advocate Hoffman, at first Advocate Madonsela refused to entertain the matter because she was saying no, it happened before apartheid or during apartheid time, or even before the institution as public protector were established. Then he insisted and showed us that actually the last transaction happened after the institution was established. So that gave us then the mandate to investigate. And the public protector, I use the discretion because the act has provided nanomi matter it happened 2 years prior to the incident. Normally we should be saying no, we can't investigate. But then it to public protector discretion. And my discretion, you don't have to meet certain laws. It discretion is okay, there might be something we can get out of this which has affected South Africans or prejudiced South Africans, which we need to rectify so that it doesn't happen going forward. So that matter again, I'm mentioning this because that was one of the matters, the report I issued 2017, where it was launched in around 2010. My predecessor took all those years to investigate. Finally, I managed to issue that report. And we investigated it because the government spent more than 600,000 pounds paying this company to do the investigation. Now, we were following the money of government. Hence, we investigated. It was kind of wrong for the government to have spent so much money. At the end of the day, there was nothing tangible they could get. So that was the reason. So the findings relate to that. But then the findings cannot only focus on that. Okay, there was this gift which was given to Bangkok. And by then, Judge Davis, who also conducted investigation, and they discovered that money was also paid wrongly, or it was just an unlawful gift to Bangkok. If Bangkok later became a ABSA, that's why you find ABSA in the mix. Yes, so, and that was done by the Reserve Bank. And the Reserve Bank is a state institution which public protector has jurisdiction over. And the Reserve Bank, they are minister or responsible minister with finance. So hence the investigation, the report was issued to all those three institutions, the Reserve Bank, Treasury, and even the President. Because remember, the other presidents are the ones who also requested that there must be an investigation during Judge Heath's time. Uguti actually kwenzakalani. And Judge Heath unfortunately never issued the report, but issue a media statement which this matter is so sensitive, it will have a run on the rand and stuff like that. But Judge Davis said it was an unlawful transaction. Judge Heath hey, this was a mess. But anyway, let's just have sleeping dog's life. So Tina's public protector here, we cannot have a situation where we don't correct, because our mandate is to also identify the root causes of maladministration, and we need to recommend how can we close those. So that's the one report which I issued, and then I was taken on review at court because during Kandla judgment they said the Constitutional Court, any public protector report or remedy is binding unless you take them to court. As much as any judgment, a high court, a judge, now ngasihipi ngayo uyisa a Supreme Court or until Constitutional Court. Therefore, public protectors' remedial actions are kind of like court orders, but they are not actually, but almost there. Now ngasihipi, and as a way of also holding me to account, I cannot just go helter skelter, do as I please. I need to be taken on review. So that report is where the High Court said, no, you were wrong, you can't instruct SIU to do this, you were wrong, you were not correct, and I was accused of meeting the president, the then President Zuma in secret. I was wrong. I met the state security in secret, and what? I was also then said to be clobbered with personal costs. I appealed to the Concord, which as well they confirmed it. I had to pay personal costs for the work I'm doing. That's one report. The Mazone, the MP with DA, included Natasha. That report as one of the things which the way I did investigated that report, and because the Reserve Bank took me to even the Concord, and Concord said you were wrong in finding the way I did, and I was punished with personal costs. I would say it's a punishment. But on top of that, then my zone included that report as one of the reports. I am incompetent in a way.
Okay.
Then another report, it relates to Friede investigation. Also that matter relates to the dairy farm project, which was meant to benefit our farmers with dairy Free State. So unfortunately, DA as well lodged that complaint during Madonsala's time. When I joined, it was 4 years later, and the report was not issued. So we had to finalize that report. After issuing the report, then I was accused that I'm protecting about ACE, Mkhwebane, and it's a whitewash. But then that report as well in a political connotation. Hence, I'm still going to address this thing, which is not a political. You are not addressing political issues, but I would say to the youth, then it's Youth Month now. Anything you do in South Africa, any small business you are in, or it's politics, because that dairy farm project, it was meant to benefit the black farmers who want to venture into dairy, and those black farmers were meant to have used the monies. They bought the equipments. Yes, there were monies which were utilized, and you remember the story of the Guptas, who also were utilized to be in partnership with the Free State government. There were things which, when I was investigating and inspection local, when they discovered that there's monies which were spent to buy the dairy machines to use there were families which were appointed and whatever. But that report, when I issued it, then I was accused that no, it's a whitewash. And even during Madonsala's time, when we receive a complaint, we triage that, or we analyze it, we determine what are we going to investigate. Maybe we identify 3 issues. Good, okay, was the contract fine, the monies were they utilized properly, and whether there were any prejudice suffered. Ne? Unfortunately, the issues which were identified for the past 4 years is what was investigated. When I arrived to make sure that we speedily finalize that matter, because it's one of the backlog matters, then I was said to have removed some politicians. But anyway, that is what I'm accused of. So that's a second matter. Then there was the other issue of the SARS rogue unit, which I'm accused of. Going back to the Friede again, the issue Uguti, trying to uplift dairy farmers. It's an issue because now if you have dairy farmers who are empowered, who can also compete in that space, they can also then process their products, milk into cheese and everyone. You are competing with your big capitalist in that space.
Yeah.
Again, it's an issue because I'm just trying to show you why I'm being treated like this, because with the Reserve Bank matter, the recommendations are made and discovering that how other reserve banks in other countries are operating, and how can we change that to make sure even in South Africa our Reserve Bank is benefiting the masses. You understand? Unfortunately, in other countries, their Reserve Bank mandate is not in the constitution. It's in the national legislation. You can change it as you please.
Okay.
Ours, we were trapped with our Reserve Bank mandate was in the constitution. Hence, now you can't touch it. Or if you want to amend that mandate, you must get it 2/3, like the issue of land. So when I was making recommendations that, okay, National Assembly, you should consider changing the mandate, at least which include an issue of creation of employment and stuff like that, so that it uplifts, then that's what you can't touch. Issue Friede, yes, they were dealing with the politicians per se, Free State, but then also those politicians, the intention was to benefit the masses, though now they failed on several aspects. But then again, it involves the issue which if you've got well-to-do and independent black farmers in that space, then it's a challenge.
You were still talking about the issue of Friday.
Friday.
Yes, ma'am.
So then that's one of the reports which I issued, and then DA and CASAC, one NGO, which is said to be also promoting the issue of constitutional democracy, partnered with the DA, and they took me on review, and that report also was set aside because I was said to have changed Amara report Kamadonsel, my predecessor. And even in that one, the judge told me, even said I must pay personal costs. I appealed to the Supreme Court of Appeal. It even went to the Concord. They then said, agreed with the High Court. I'll deal with that in details if you ask one of those questions, because there was questions about the judges. Then that was also the other report which Mazon included, which I'm incompetent based on that. Then the third report was relating to the report against South African Revenue Services, where it was against the Minister Godan, that he established one unit, the so-called SARS unit, but it was alleged to have been operating in a rogue manner. Hence, it was called rogue unit, because they usurped the powers, or they took over our powers with state security. The way where sometimes you'll have to gather evidence and information. And Gwabona, they did acknowledge, and the SSA Commissioner, Minister Godan, wrote to Minister Trevor Manuel, washo ukuthi can finance fund state security, the unit which will work directly in SARS to collate certain evidence yalabama smugglers yabona in smuggling of goods, alcohol, cigarettes, smugglers and everything, or illicit trade and economy.
Yeah.
So that is not a problem. SARS can do that, but the fact of the matter is, Tina, as public protector, we're checking did you use the correct law and procedure to do that. So the findings was that no, that mandate you go collect evidence in that way is the mandate state security. In terms of the constitution, you were wrong when I SARS to do that. And that unit also tapped people's phone, because for any state institution, for them to listen and intercept your communication, they must get the approval of the judge. And there was no way where they can produce Uti by bugging about NPA offices and listening to people's communication. They had that permission. So Tina's check and did you violate umthetho or the law which is provided? So that is another report where I was said to be incompetent, and then others relates to the officials which were charged and dismissed. So what bonakala ukuthi there's one of the officials obeka head the public protector every state who then was in cahoots no Mazon, because Mazon lodged the motion ukuthi I must be charged for all these things. Then when I was given an opportunity to respond to those, I said no, you cannot charge me for things in the past. You understand that legally you cannot charge a person retrospectively. You need to charge a person with things which is going to wenzakala. Then what happened is that Kwabake then fabricated whistleblowing by this official to someone to the speaker, which I'm persecuting them and all those. And this Samuel was working Limpopo as the head, the office, the public protector during Madonsela's time. Is the one who assaulted a 70-year-old as an officer in Alokabuza matter. I lodged a complaint now. I was not aware about that matter. I only discovered when this old man, Segasisa a court, Asua, because to Samuel, actually even the court, Mobawafuli case, but they never find a guilt. And that was not disclosed to me. So when I said they must act against him, then he then fabricated this thing ukuthi mina I'm persecuting them as public protector, or I'm using the CEO to persecute them. So that was also one of the complaints relating to the officials in the institution. So what happened is that Umazone, after discovering that, while we withdraw the original complaint, then after the complaint of this one, why faga kabush, but was Bunisa all those things. So what Parliament did then, they appointed a panel of illegal judge Mkhwebane, na 2 advocates to investigate whether is there any case for me to answer. I think ubonile namanje upresident ngane ndaba yePhalaphala, where they appointed to judge previous Chief Justice Ngcobo to just determine whether there's any case for the president to ask answer ngePhalaphala. So even the same thing was done. So Judge Mkhwebane wabuya wathi no, you must answer on 3 possibly of those and the following officials. Others what there's no basis yokuthi kuna anything. So then after that report was taken then to Parliament ukuthi ke iadoptiwe ukuthi okay, they initiate the proceedings so ukuthi I must go to Parliament and answer. And then that's when I was then finally suspended by the president. But then the president's suspension was as a result of the speaker saying the proceedings have started angakaqala proceedings, which was wrong. According to the constitution, you only suspend or may suspend after ama proceedings aqalile. So I was suspended on the 9th of June, but that suspension also was based on the fact that I sent those 31 questions to the president about indaba yePhalaphala and Nalamadola, which was stashed in the sofas. So now the proceedings started last year. I'm appearing before Parliament again for the hearing, which I must account. Babize all their witnesses. Now I also called my witnesses. Now I'm in the middle of my testimony as public protector. Now telling my side of the story. What transpired when I investigated CX, Friede, okay, CR17
bank statements.
The issue yale so-called rogue unit. Now, when I started testifying in 16 Zagamach, that's when one of the members, the ANC, the late Miss Tina Jumat Peterson, my husband has always been with me. So on that day, my husband also was there, and my 2 sisters. Kanti uTina Jumat, normally they appear virtually, they don't come. She came that day. She knows my sister who was working at Department of Agriculture when she was the Minister of Agriculture. So she came, well, that's what she's telling my husband. No, she came because she saw my sister, and then she asked for my husband's phone during the proceedings, Minang Peace in testifying. Then took my husband's number. Then it was for the first time anyway. They spoke about with her, my husband, when she says, "Can you give me your number?" She called. She arranged. I'll come to Joburg. We will meet. Then when they met, she even said, "No, let's meet or Tambo Ocean Basket. I know there are no cameras," because my husband in the WhatsApps was saying, "No, let's meet international at the airport, Intercontinental Hotel, I think." Then she said, "No, let's meet there." They met. She's the one then in those recordings. Now I'm coming to the recordings, where she's saying, "No," and it was so noisy, showing Gucci it was just an original recording. The Richard Janchi, well, there's several where she's mentioning her name, not only the chairperson, and even Pemi Majodina, the chief whip of the NC, are angry that they were never made ministers by the president during the reshuffling, anti-reshuffling in Zagali during that time.
Yes.
And they even assisted the president in Nazarek to to be reappointed. That's what she said. She mentioned a number of things as well. Good to know. Even her, she was not made a minister. Now she was saying, because they are angry and they want to sabotage this process and appeal this one of the hearings, then my husband must pay them 200,000 each. They'll make this process to disappear. So the recordings, everything is in those. We just picked up the snippets of those. So after that, then I wrote to the chairperson when I appeared, I can't again proceed before you. You then sent Utina Juma to extort monies from me. So Mina, I discovered when my husband told me when I appeared before, when the deputy public protector stopped and said no, they don't have money to pay anymore, because I won a court case, a constitutional court judgment, which I must be provided legal representation, and they've been paying my legal representation.
Yeah.
So DPP, Deputy Public Protector, then as acting PP, then said no, we are no longer going to be funding. And indeed, Dimali Yatnaipela or Makpela end of March, then we stopped. So, and then when we stopped the proceedings, they wanted them to proceed and evidence leaders to lead and to apparently empower them, which was an unlawful process. When I intervened to say, but this is wrong, then that's when I think, I don't know whether you saw it or those who saw it, and then just mute me arrogantly and stopped me and said it's a committee meeting, which he was lying, because the evidence leaders who are not committee members were also there. Then during that time when he changed his behavior, it was the time when Tina was always saying, no, you need to bring, and my husband was saying, no, I want to meet one of them also to be there, because my husband wanted to just make sure that there's full evidence that indeed the monies was also dropped, because he recorded them to make sure that he's protecting himself, or her, to make sure that he's protecting himself. So that's when then I said, when he told me, I said, go and open a case. You are not the police. You can't do entrapment and everything. That's when he opened the case. So now I've been requesting Uguti, the chairperson, must excuse himself. He's saying, no, it's rumors, because that's what those ANC, DA, ACDP, and the IFP, Majosi are saying, no, the chairperson must just continue. We can't rely on WhatsApp. And some people even accusing that, you can even hack WhatsApps. And, those stories. Then during that hearing, I said, I will release these audios as I've heard them, just to show the public. Uguti, you make your own judgment as the public. Uguti, when appearing before the judges like yourself, appearing before the judges, and it appears Uguti, your spouse, or even your brother, for instance, or your mother, or your father, or is appearing before these 11 judges, and it appears Uguti, 2 of those judges or 3 of those judges, they've sent one of them to extort money from you, from your brother, and using another family member. And a family member, then they say, no, but this can't be. When they expose that issue, then the public is saying, no, just continue appearing before those people who are corrupt and who are extorting money from you to make the case disappear. Why? And as an institution not dealing with corruption, maladministration, and even the people who are supposed to hold, even Obama members of parliament are people who are representing you as a voter and as a public in parliament, and they are supposed to hold us and the executive to account. But you find the very same people request a bribe. Then how do I appear before a person like that? And there's also a pending case where I took to court Uguti Ujanji, the chairperson, Agaza Recusi, Nendo Dagama Zone, is one of the judges. Imagine. The very same complainant, the husband is sitting in the committee. Who must decide my fate? And I said they must recuse themselves. Western Cape High Court then, and those 3 judges decided no, they must. I must just proceed appearing before them. I will only bring a review after they are done, which we appealed, and they realized, no, they've made a mistake and might have made an error of law. Then they granted us that leave to appeal. So the matter is pending. On the basis that Ujanji commented before the hearings, would I might be incompetent because uhlala committee of justice.
Yes.
So that's the story. I've explained.
It's beautiful because I love how you're simplifying it for Tina Bantaba Ordinary. As for to understand more about this, what is going on in the Public Protector's Office, Konamanje. I think after that happened, before I did the interview, I asked a lot of people and I said, guys, I'd like for you to send your questions so that I'll ask the Public Protector. I'd actually want to read imibuzo yabo so that bafile ukuthi ngiyabalalela. Some of the questions, okay, let me start with the first one. I said to them, guys, tomorrow we'll be recording with the advocate Mkhwebane. Send me some of the questions you'd like for me to ask on your behalf. Maybe let me start to know Osake Dolonga. If an opportunity arose, would you write a book about your situation?
Definitely.
Your tenure?
Yes, actually I've started because remember it's a year now being suspended.
Yes.
And I had to then find some time to collate all this information, and indeed I will. And that I hope it will inspire a lot of young people, women, men out there, black people, or those who are oppressed, to understand how the system operates.
Yeah, and I think it's also good that you're able to express yourself properly, because all these media platforms, as you're saying, depends where you are. They've got an agenda, so it's nice to properly express yourself through a book. Ayanda Kaisha Ati, who advised about the South African Reserve Bank changing of mandate. Did you think it was a good idea, and why?
No one advised me. I told you earlier, Oguti, I've got investigators in the office. And as the public protector guiding them, I said, can we check in other countries, how is their mandate in the constitution? And when I arrived, there was already a draft report, preliminary report, which was recommending the amendment of the Reserve Bank legislation to prevent Uguti Reserve Bank must borrow or give such gifts to Amapens. Then, on going through all the evidence and as a public protector, seeing Uguti, how can we prevent that from happening in the future, but also how can the Reserve Bank benefit the poor and the marginalized? So no one advised me, but it's me as a public protector who would make sure that I uproot any obstacles, and I make sure whatever institutions we have, they work for the benefit of South Africans. And when I issued that report, it was to make sure the public benefits, because I recommended that SIU, which had a proclamation before, can you open it? Let's follow this money and see how that money can be recovered so that it can benefit, it can build houses, it can benefit health sector and everything. But also secondly, the way the Reserve Bank's mandate is captured in the Constitution, ourselves, our children, our grandchildren, the generations to come, we will still be talking about the very same poverty, the very same Reserve Bank, which is not benefiting us. Kanti, the very same people who helped the country in 1994, during Bokodesa and whatever, when they drafted the Constitution, born in their countries, they don't have the mandate of the Reserve Bank in the Constitution. They have it in the national legislation. which is easy, like Australia, they were changing their that Reserve Bank legislation, and they included the issue of employment creation. You understand? So this is done for the benefit of the public. But unfortunately, then you find people sometimes who are thinking Umuntu is working for certain individuals. Mina, I was there indeed to protect the public and to even expose even currently. I never said the Reserve Bank must be nationalized. That's not me. I never said that. I said change the mandate of the Reserve Bank so that it can benefit and can have employment creation, and it's specific instead of only focusing on targeting inflation, which sometimes is not benefiting the ordinary man on the street, but it's just a very sophisticated, high economical issue which might benefit the investors or whoever. But Mina was just taking it simple, yeah.
Kumkanikazi, what are the actual consequences of having a captured judiciary in South Africa?
It means you are a banana republic. When you have all those three arms of the state, or when you have one of them being captured in a sovereign state. Because when you speak about the state, you speak about the judiciary, you speak about the legislature, you speak about the executive, and that is your sovereignty as a country. And when you have a judiciary which will decide on who appears before them, who will then issue judgments against Mkhwebane because we don't like Mkhwebane, or Mkhwebane is said to be this person who is not because I think who is controlled by the oppressors, who would want you not to think for yourself but decide in a particular way. So if we have a judiciary like that, now there's I mentioned earlier, I will show you in the CX matter or the Reserve Bank matter, I was accused I was lied about meeting with President Zuma. I never met President Zuma. There's evidence I showed I met the special advisor and what we discussed there. I was said to have lied. I used an economist to draft my report. The minority judgment Mkhwebane is very clear, which I explained. I used the economist to assist when we were litigating, but the only person I used during the drafting was one person, or economist Ebegase Reserve Bank, the late good son. Was the Reserve Bank and knows the ins and outs of the Reserve Bank, and that is proof. I was said to have met with state security secretly. I never met with them secretly. I met with them because Umbeki delegated them as state security, meeting as state security, not that company, because it had intelligence people. So which was good because meeting as counterparts. And I wanted to know indeed NASA agreement. Is this the agreement? Because I can't just go and issue a report without verifying all those. So, our judges, they believe the High Court, who were spiteful, which I must pay personal costs because I was said to have been dishonest, which was not true. And there's evidence to that. Now, on top of that, this Hoffman opened a criminal case of perjury. I'm facing a criminal case of perjury. Remember, I've paid the personal costs thanks to the Democracy in Action and NGO, which raise funds for the public to do that. I'm punished again with a criminal case, sitting on the dock as if I'm a hardened criminal, kills people, and I was trying to protect people. Now, the third one, Mazoni included it in my charges, putting remove or impeach you based on that. So So now, if you have judges who will just take whatever the mainstream media is reporting and just take that position and hate me, what the DA is because they were saying I'm a spy, they never produced evidence, and I was working for Home Affairs. There's evidence to that effect. We freed the very same DA said, Mina, I issued that whitewash evidence because I changed Madonsela's report. Madonsela, we called her as a witness. We asked her, did you compile a report? She said, no, I never. Maybe they'll believe it now because she said it, and now possibly they believe her because Mina, I'm a person I've been saying and proving myself. They never believe me. Now, if you have judges who are reaching their judgments based on wrong conclusions, and phela i-charge yami is based on those comments zala majudge. I didn't apply the law, I was biased and all those. Based on wrong evidence and wrong facts. Now I'm facing this process. So what I'm saying is, if we have a judiciary which is captured, which is paid, it's a real danger to democracy. I mean, it means people who are murderers, people who are rapists, they will go free, they will continue doing whatever they are doing. And the law is there to make sure that there's peace, there's justice, and those who are infringing other people's rights are dealt with. But now if you've got a judiciary who can believe what mainstream media is telling them, then it means we are in serious danger. And if you've got a judiciary which will also be influenced by NGOs as funded by foreign intelligence to destabilize the country, then one day we will find ourselves being owned by foreign countries, being annexed by foreign countries, because our judiciary is failing to protect any other person and an ordinary man on the street.
Uspiwe Pire, your relationship with the current Deputy Public Protector, do you know the names, some of the names that are on the CR17 sealed files?
Oh, Deputy Public Protector Galek, I remember a process about when they appoint him, they use the same process if a public protector. And she's appointed by through Parliament naye, they recommend to the President. But accounts to me in terms of what do I delegate to her. When we started working, I tried by all means to hand over, to take her through the work and everything. I would say towards the 2021, 2022 early, then the behavior started changing, where sometimes when we host conferences or meetings, I expected her to be there. She might not be there, or I have media briefing about reports. It depends what reports we're issuing. Possibly she didn't want to relate herself to those. Then I continued to work with her because at the end of the day, we need to lead. And I was trying to also hand over in a way of saying, as a Deputy Public Protector, when they appoint a Public Protector, at least there's somebody who knows how we were operating. Then the worst part was when I was traveling to the International Ombudsman Institute meeting because I'm a board member in New York. Then there was a matter which was pending where a certain Abramji, leaked an information or got an information from the judges of the Constitutional Court, imagine, that there is a judgment which will be issued which is against me, and informing the advocate of Parliament because there was a matter which was pending. So then she had to write to the state attorneys without my knowledge, distancing herself to that, because I was saying, if that I'm investigating that leak, what transpired, and if if they are concerned about who's going to investigate, because I've got investigators, I might also delegate the Deputy Public Protector to lead that team. She then rushed to write to state attorneys that she's not involved. I mean, without even discussing with me. Okay, fine. Now with my suspension, the first thing when we engaged, then she started saying no, she's not paying for some of the matters we are opposing. And when we oppose those matters, it's because they will benefit the people we were trying to assist, the complainants who are prejudiced by the decisions of the people we were investigating. She started withdrawing to oppose those matters. She then said they will support me with the perjury matter, but only at the regional court. If we take it to high court or anything, she's not going to fund. Now she started, even when we appeared before court, Western Cape High Court, when I was challenging my suspension, she said, yes, we will pay for that, but then we are not paying for your issues of challenging the cost and stuff. So she's been this person now who allowed herself to be used by the establishment to fight me, instead of supporting me and working with me as her principal, because she's just acting. She should have made sure that she focused on protecting the public. Then unfortunately now she's in the game of also being one of my persecutors. The CR17 beneficiaries, definitely I know them. If people can go back to the channel 408 or even YouTube, you go back and play. When I started my testimony, I indeed revealed who are the donors, and how the current president, because he said he never knew who are the donors, how he was involved, that the emails he sent. It's all there.
And what do you say there? Who are those donors?
The donors, I mean, it involves your it's a lot of them. I don't have I'll just send it to you when I send it to. We just screened it as well when I was testifying in. Maybe if you can just give me, because it's very critical that
yes,
people can go back there. Actually, it was even published by the Mail and Guardian, and it was exactly what our report was saying. So there was some foreign companies, individuals and entities who there's one businessman, David Heshovich, apparently now deceased, donated 2.5 to some Reatenda trust. This trust was also established then to receive a lot of monies. And there is ANC members, Mkhwebane, or big business like your this one shows the beneficiaries, most of them. There's this one. I'll send you this one. There's okay, these are the beneficiaries. You wanted the donors, eh?
Yes, ma'am.
Maybe let me start with Ngama beneficiaries. Beneficiaries, because a lot of money was deposited into this Reatenda trust. There was this firm of attorneys, Edelstein Faber Krobler, which created the trust and the bank accounts. Monies was sent to this linked environmental services. So there's Bochivas, a trust which benefited a lot of money, like around 21 million. And this Chivas trust, one minister in the presidency, Kombuzo, is one of the directors, and we've got Tom Berry Trading, Acute Strategic Partners, Intense. In fact, this lady is one of the directors is Pore Farms. In fact, the only director, not the Chivas Trust, Pore Farms. So some of the members benefited be ANC, Fikile Mbalula, Western Cape, ANC, who were beneficiaries in that. And then there was also the people who were donors, some from the American companies who donated to the CR17. Some of them are local business people like Abu Ackerman. Oppenheimer's also donated. So it's a lot of them.
So it's a big list, eh?
It's a big list, but also I'll encourage people to go and read the Public Protector report.
Okay.
Because we've mentioned all of them there.
That's incredible. The next question that comes is, do you trust your husband with the information that he has come up with about the inquiry members, and also have you compromised your position to politics? This comes from Usfundo Mdemka.
Sfundo, I don't know I don't know whether you have a husband or a wife or a family member, which I mentioned earlier. If your partner is showing you WhatsApps from his phone, and if you listen to recordings where the very same member or part a committee who's supposed to decide on your fate, I trust the information, and hence I said he must go and open a criminal case, which is opened, and that information is also given to the police in a proper way, which will be evidence before court, and is not a hearsay, is the evidence which is tangible. And I'm glad that the police are continuing to investigate to uncover more evidence as far as that is concerned. And I was not sharing this information ukuthi mhlawumbe I'm proving a case. I'm saying to you as a member of the public, listen for yourself, read for yourself, and decide for yourself if it was you in my position and you appear before these people who are accusing you, which is some hearsay, we won't be stopped by that, is not related to this. How do you say it's not related when the member of your committee is saying this is what they are doing? And indeed, on Friday the other week when I was last there, they indeed changed the process according to what the late Tina said. No, I'm no longer going to give oral evidence, but they will decide on paper. And Tina said it, this is what they are doing. Read those notes to my husband. If you listen to those recordings, you'll hear her paging. You see, this is what they are going to do going forward, because Richard Janji is being accused of delaying and not delivering on time. And you must also check they are do an audit. They are not sitting every time. You find that a person is logging in but busy with other 2 or 3 meetings. What do you call that? And she said there's a predetermined outcome that they want to remove me. So I don't know if I mustn't trust my husband, who's protecting me, who is making sure I'm not treated the way I'm being treated. And thank God that Dina approached my husband, because if Dina didn't approach my husband, we wouldn't be sitting here and exposing the rot of these ANC members. And unfortunately, if it was also not my zone motion, I wouldn't be sitting in Parliament, and possibly Dina would still be alive if that never happened.
What advice do you give to the upcoming public protector in October?
The upcoming public protector, I would say to that person, don't be a people's pleaser, in the sense that you are scared of taking unpopular decisions. You need to be independent. You need to be honest. You cannot protect criminals. You cannot protect people who are looting state resources, people who are dishonest. Unfortunately, they must know you will face persecution as much as if you don't want to toe the line, or if you are scared to have findings against their favorites, or people which the media will portray as if they are clean, whereas unfortunately they are the ones who are so corrupt, because they then are protected. And unfortunately in South Africa, if you are a person who will just rely on our News 24 and your ENC and everything without you investigating for yourself, you are in trouble. So as a public protector, then you focus in making sure that You are independent, you do your work without fear or favor, and the constitution and the laws of the country are your guiding principles.
If you knew what you know now, then would you still take up the job?
Yes, I would, because I would want to contribute in a country where I'm not doing that for myself. Even now, I don't do it selfishly for myself. I'm doing for my generations or the generations to come, and even currently people who cannot exercise their rights. I mean, remember, or in some interviews, I said it with my mother, my late mother, may her soul rest in peace. Yes, she was not, at first she was saying, no, I don't want you to take this position, because, in fact, before I even went for interviews, as if she knew which I'll get the position, because I also said it when they I was telling some young people at church, once they shortlist me, that position is mine. So, sometimes God works in strange ways. Hence, they are saying sometimes, we are what we say we are.
Yes.
Because as a young person, if you stand on your beliefs, you always confess positively about yourself, and you tell yourself, this I will do. And if you fail, but then it means you will receive what is correct. So my mother was not happy, but later when I went for interviews, she said, you know what, I'll pray for you, go with God. And indeed, I knew, and hence I called Thuli Madonsela to be part of the witnesses, so that, as a person who was also subjected to that. Remember, she was insulted, she was called names, she was called spies as well. So I thought she could relate, but unfortunately, she couldn't, tell those MPs and the public unfortunately what this public protector is going through, I went through, and I think it's wrong for her to be subjected to this. And unfortunately, that's what the public protector from Zambia I used as one of my witnesses, as an outsider who was saying, you know what, as Africa, because I'm the president of IOMA, the African Ombudsman and Mediators Association, we look up to South Africa. Whatever South Africa is doing, our countries are also doing. After South Africa said the remedial actions of the public protector are binding, their countries also changed the laws to do that, which I said is wrong. And the principle of public protector or ombudsman worldwide, we need to make recommendations, we have persuasive powers. Unfortunately, our Concord changed the face of the mandate of the PP. And then she was the one who was saying, but when I read all this and the charges they are facing, it's as if judges are allowing themselves to be used to impeach you. And the very same judges, the sections relating to Chapter 9 institutions and the judges, how they are appointed, they should be independent, without fear or favor, and all those, they must be supported by state organs and state institutions. But they are the ones as well allowing themselves to be used, because if you use the judgments against me, and Bona, you find judges who lose, or their cases zisetwa aside, maybe 90% out of 100%, or sometimes but umuntu is sentenced to life imprisonment wrongly. A person will stay in jail for 10-15 years, and then later ESCA discovering that they were wrong. You understand? What damage have they done to that person who's telling you? But are those judges brought before Parliament and be subjected to be charged, or batibas or impeach you? No.
And what is your relationship with the former public protector, Mama Thuli Madonsela?
I was portrayed in the media, again, the wrong thing. I remember when I started working, first week, I wanted to, when I met with her, she was going to do a media briefing, a report, a state of capture, the one which President Zuma interdicted. And we only met for, I think, 20 minutes with her, with the Deputy Public Protector Malunga then. Then she didn't have time to hand over to do anything. And then we said, okay, maybe we'll meet the following week. Monday, following week, discovered when I started working, I must go to Parliament to present her annual report. Because the Parliament stopped the portfolio committee meetings. I must present that. When I presented, meeting the staff, doing that, I couldn't meet her. Yes, we were supposed to meet the following week. We couldn't meet. I had to get all the information from the staff. I went to Parliament, I think that Wednesday, after starting. First week, Parliament were saying, why donor funding? Why this? And I was answering what was there. And I was saying, Mina, going forward, I wouldn't be doing this and this and this. Because remember, each person is having their own way of doing this. Then I was portrayed as the person who's attacking her. Possibly she also believed that, because I remember we even in our communication email, I said, no, it's fine. If I need anything, I'll indeed come back to you. But for now, I'm still okay. And then she submitted her comprehensive kind of handover report the following week, which already was late because I was before Parliament to answer on those. So again, it's how media will then be driving a certain narration. So unfortunately, then that's what I would say. Possibly she believed all those, because I've seen as well when she testified there, I was expecting her as a woman, as my predecessor, who's been through all those, to also then indicate, or as well, try to educate members of the public through those MPs. This is what this institution is about. But in her response, the way she dealt with the matter, also saying she was never there were no court judgments against her which are negative. Unfortunately, we had to present them because there were 3 or 4, where even the very same judges, Saboto, Poterel and them, were criticizing, which is fine to criticize, but with me being criticized for doing my work. So I would say I don't think it's cordial. I mean, even now with these WhatsApp issues, all of a sudden there was that narration which now the very same media, well, fortunately for her, they listened to her. She wrote that she was hacked on using WhatsApp. Indeed, those things happened, but apparently it was in 2021. And again, that brought, some people were then saying maybe that question was asked, is that a credible information? The issue of the WhatsApp of my husband, which is totally different story compared to, yes, there are hackers, indeed, people can be able to do that, but this one was different. So coming from her, and as well saying, no, you cannot expect a person to recuse. Is it necessary for her to do that? So I don't know, it's for the public to judge if it's fine for people to do that. But for me, I would expect, or my successor, if they need anything, I will defend them, because I've been there, done that, and I know the kind of work we are doing, we are not liked by those who are corrupt and those who are greedy, because we expose them. And I mean, the Constitutional Court judgment, Nkandla said it, the public protector is like a biblical David, who or defender a public against the Goliath, which is a state. And the state is well resourced. And the state, I mean, if you are a president or minister, you have a budget, billions. You can do whatever you want to do, and you can even abuse your power. So I think the successors must know that position. You need to just take it because you want to serve. You're not taking it because of fame, or you want to be popular, or it's for money. It's kind of a calling.
I get you.
Yeah.
With everything you've said, is it a fact that the South African judiciary is captured? Number 2, what can we do as South Africans?
Not judiciary is captured. I think, to be fair to the judiciary, some judges
Okay.
are captured. Some judges, I'm saying this because of the kinds of judgments they've delivered. And for me, I'm speaking from experience, and I've got evidence to show. I'm not just blaming people. Meaning, I've got evidence to show Uguti with the Nkandla judgment, with the state of capture judgment, or is it Nkandla, where the Chief Justice, the Judge President of the Pretoria High Court, his judgment, which I played during my hearing in Parliament, where he said, because the person who drafted the report or issued the report is Madonsela, nothing in the Public Protector Act prevents the Public Protector to direct any state institution to act or to investigate according to their mandate. Here in this instance, NPA or Hawks and anyone. Nothing in the Public Protector Act or in the prevents the Public Protector to issue a remedial action the way she did, and he was even saying you can even issue observations which are binding. You can even issue a referral even if there's no remedial action, because the state of capture never had remedies. It referred this to what was the Zondo Commission, which proceeded with the matter. Now, with my report on the CR17, no, the Public Protector cannot do that because it's me. And I've shown that during my hearing. Coming to the issue of the so-called rogue unit, the judges, Bakwa and them, accused me of saying in my report, I said I never saw the Inspector General's report of intelligence report, which was had negative findings against Minister Gordhan, some Johan van Locherenberg, and some others, and Pile. And during cross-examination by my SC Mpofu, we asked, where in my report did I say that? Look how my report, the evidence before me, none. The same Judge Bakwa accused me of being a state operative. Imagine a state operative, Pella is like a rogue person. And I was never a... And the people who are working in state security, there are those who are working as who are employed as civilians. There are those who are employed as undercover agents. So I was blamed to be that, and I was never that. And whereas this person was a former public protector, accusing me of that without any evidence. The same judges, the Pretoria High Court, accusing me, told me, Oguti, I changed Madonsela's Friday report. Madonsela testified there. There was never a report. It was still an investigation. Ever? But Mina, I'm clobbered with personal costs based on that. So hence I'm saying, I wouldn't say the judiciary. Okay. I would say some of the judges, unfortunately, they allow themselves to be used. And I liked what Advocate Kakane SC said, a UNISA addresser, a UNISA ati. You know what? Every person on biases. You might have biases against any other person in the industry and whatever. But because you know what you are biased as a judge, ati, recuse yourself. Why do you have to sit with Mkhwebane was Mkhwebane, or you don't like Mkhwebane, or unfortunately you believe what is said to be Mkhwebane? If you feel good, we are be objective, because as lawyers we are taught, we are trained to be objective. You know, in the very in the rough, in whatever we are doing, you don't look at it's DJ Spoo or whoever. You just look at, okay, umthetho uthini, i-conduct ayenzile ithini, is there any gap between the two? And indeed, maka violate umthetho, you just say violate umthetho based on the evidence I'm having. Understand? So I think it's what I would say. Some judges, they are very much objective. They focus on the law. They indeed, because I'm a judge, tola any matter before them. They are not like the public protector. They are not investigators. Tina, we go, we dig. I'm a judges, they decide on the papers. Unfortunately, I've seen that in a CR17, those judges never bothered to read what was there. I saw that in a Reserve Bank matter, Concord. It's only Judge Mkhwebane and the other judge, Abafunda, and could also incorporate my argument. How did I reach the conclusion to that? So that's the kind of judges we're expecting, because when I say judge, if you are going to judge according to Busisiwe Mkhwebane, in the future that will come and bite you, because the other lawyers will meet or will rely on the same judgment in a precedence now against your own. Understand? So I think people must just stay away from that. Maybe you might ask why I always go back to courts. Because I want to expose those who are corrupt, those who are captured. Because the more you do that, history has no blank pages. Because always I will mention, in this matter, the following judges appeared. The following judges did this, and when there is evidence that never happened. Again, for the young people,
so it will forever be recorded in history.
It will forever. It will never disappear. I mean, now when we study law, we are still referring to the cases is about 1957 and whatever. This is the judgment. This is how this law was applied with common law and everything, or a reported judgment. And the very same judgments will be reported, and the very same judgments where I was covered with personal costs and everything are recorded. And my hearing in Parliament, Hansard has recorded that. It will never disappear. So if you want to follow Mkhwebane and in the issue of my book, also it will be there. Those who would want to read about me, they will have to hear and see for themselves and not be told. Because unfortunately what the mainstream media is trying to do with me, they're trying to distort who I am, who I'm capable of doing, because they never reported anything positive. This public protector is the first public protector in the history of this country to acquire 3 clean audits. And not only 3 clean audits, with improved performance, because I made sure we lead by example. Must investigate undue delay. Why must we pay our service providers later than 30 days when it's a policy of government, or what the Public Finance Management Act is saying? You understand? So Tina, we need to pay our service providers on time. We need to use the money allocated properly, account for it. And with my team, we managed to do that. I'm not saying it's me. With my team. As much as those reports we issued, we did with my team. I was not there, Mina, on the ground, taking statements and whatever. They are the ones who do that, come back with the boxes, analyze the evidence, already say by go through, or during the investigation I will ask, how far are you on this? No, PP, we are struggling on the following issues. And my role as a public protector, which these MPs and everyone is missing, I'm like the executive of let's say a minister.
Yes.
Then you've got the DG. Mina, I have a CEO who's operational. Then ngaphansi kwakhe kunama chief investigators and all that work comes directly up to me. There were those matters, yes, which I would be directly involved, because especially the ones which relates to investigating of presidents, ministers, again protecting them, but again making sure that we do them and there's no gaps or anything we are doing which we might be found wanting. But we are human beings, because that's what I told the team about testifying with this matter here, so-called rogue unitness, CR17, because they were scared. I mean, it's like now we are these people who don't know the law and whatever. I said, during the investigations, we did what we best know how. And we thought by having this evidence and this law, applying it to the evidence we have and the facts, we were doing the correct thing. But unfortunately in South Africa, there's that thing, manje, yokuthi once the media reports like this against you, always when DJs Vela, people will just mention that.
It's the court of public opinion, right?
Exactly.
Have you received any death threats to your life, your family?
Yeah, there were threats when I was still in the office, because currently I'm suspended. And yes, there were even now during suspension, some chased by some cars and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, currently, yes, the protection is provided by SAPS, but the issue is also one will have to make sure that for their personal safety, you always taking care. And indeed, yes, my family members also, unfortunately, they also have some challenges, yeah. But because they are not provided security currently, we'll have to find other means to protect them.
I've seen you posting some posts. The late great Mama Winnie Madikizela Mandela. What is it that other young women out there should know about being I don't want to say a powerful woman, being strength, assertive, being a person of principled values, and being a high performance professional? What it takes?
It takes. I think I've mentioned earlier, Mama Winnie Mandela was a person who, remember, she was also trained as a social worker. She was somebody who always put the interest of other people before hers. She protected the public herself. She was mocked by the system. Unfortunately, if you are a professional woman, or besides a professional, you are this woman who stands her ground. Or even if you are a black man, you stand your ground against the most powerful system of the oppressors, because they would want people who are lackeys, people who will be told how to do certain things, people who wouldn't want to take care of their own. I mean, Mama Winnie Madikizela Mandela, remember, she had kids, she had that football team, she was providing for the community around Soweto, but as well, after that, she was the person who would make sure that she even intervene in community projects and disputes and whatever. Now, the oppressor doesn't want to see a person like that. And the oppressor doesn't want a person who will liberate abantu. Abantu, they must remain dependent on the state in paying bakunikeze leyo 350 or leyo child grant or leyo old age grant or disability grant, and that's it. So she was this person who went against what the system would want people to operate within, in a caged system. So she managed to break that and operate outside of that system, so that people will know their worth, people will stand up for their rights. So, I mean, she inspires me a lot, or I'm inspired by what she did. And as well, she was not a person unless other people know other things. But Mina, for me, I saw a person who's willing to serve, no matter at whatever costs. And unfortunately, is a person who was persecuted by her own organization. Mina, I'm not ANC. I was never an ANC card-carrying member. Yena, she was born in the ANC. She was the ANC herself. You understand? But look at how they treated her comrades. They treated her like an outcast. They even others sold her out to Stratcom and everything. And now the truth is coming out. She's no more. And people now are confessing that actually we had Stratcom, which was dedicated to lie and write negative things about her. So for me seeing that, I'm also saying, you know what, these people, I'm not part of them. These people, if they manage to treat her like that, what do I expect? But that won't stop me from making sure that I contribute, especially in the position I am. I mean, normally I would say, if they are treating me as a constitutional institution like this, what about you, who is an ordinary, unemployed, oppressed, not having any means of income? So you need to be a person who's willing to sacrifice just for the liberation of your own kind. Unfortunately, any person, Mina, I know, who's trying to uplift the public or the poor, the marginalized, out of poverty, out of oppression, is not, most of the time, is labeled incompetent, corrupt, and there will always be media who's writing negative things. Unfortunately, propaganda, they will always make a person who's guilty look innocent, the innocent look guilty. What I would say to the youth during Youth Month, never believe what is you see in mainstream media. Go deeper. Follow those people on their podcast pages, on their Twitter pages, their Facebook pages, and understand the person, and when not draw your own conclusion, instead of being fed these lies about people.
What is the answer going into the 2024 elections for young people?
I will say to young people, I'm still repeating, and I don't agree with the fact that business people, hustlers, you are not into politics. Politics affect you, and don't you ever tell yourself, "Good, I mean, who am I going to vote because the ANC is doing this?" I'll encourage you, identify another black party, and please go and read and Google or go to their Twitter pages, their Facebook pages. Know ukuthi bapromisani, what is their manifesto. Don't just vote because it's ANC's, it's this party and that party. Just go to their manifesto. ANC, unfortunately, they've shown themselves now DA ukuthi they are able to persecute their own, or they are able to, or what have they produced? Yes, they have delivered to a certain level, ANC would say that. But now, as a young person, would you still go there? Please don't make that mistake of not going to vote. Unfortunately, currently, we have this system, whoever is in government or is in power needs to be voted in. So as young people, go out there, and apparently there's around 14 million young people in the country who have not registered to vote. Please go and register to vote, because our counterparts, or your counterparts, abelungu, whites, just go and see where they vote. You'll find a granny, Mkhulu. They badonsana bonke uthole elayinini by 10, 15, because they agree that you are going to vote either for the DA or FF plus. Nani ke, please, young people, go out there, niyo vote. Starting now, check what can EFF provide, what can ATM provide, what does UDM provide, what does possibly a good party provide, and this party provide. And Mina, according to me, or Abo PLF, what do they provide? Vote for the party which will involve you. Nawe contribute. Ungavele ume uthi no, they must involve yourself into politics. Change your own environment. Unfortunately, DJ Mkhwebane. Busisiwe. I mean, I told you, weekend I was at home, we had a function, and my in-laws Some young people, they have given their, they are no longer, the main thing for them is just to indulge in alcohol. Some young people, they are skilled, and I'm a skills wabo, maybe with construction and whatever, they use them there, but once you pay them, they just go and indulge. So unfortunately, we have a challenge in the country. Can we change that, young people? Because you are our future leaders. Now we have challenges about ESCOM. They are being run to the ground by this country, by this ruling party, and about DA and everything, because they want to force people, or even our US giving us money, so we must move away from the coal. God-given resources which are there, and Bona, we export a lot of coal. Bona, they are using the very same coal, but in Abafuna's Valley, or those which they've closed, Wheat Bank and Pumalanga, some of them, they are creating a ghost town. How many people are working there? Others are unemployed, and feeding how many families? So I think that's why I'm saying, Guti, you can't be a young person and say, I mean, I need politics. Politics, unfortunately, is surrounding you, and you can change it when or make sure that you participate in the voting. You vote. You also in your communities, you are active, you participate, you help your communities, because that's why in one of the vision 2023, which I had as public protector, there's a pillar number 8 where I was saying I would want to create public protectors in each and every household, and unfortunately that has been achieved because we have an app which we've created, which you can download on your smartphone.
What is the app called?
Which is it's Public Protector. You can get it through the Public Protector website.
Oh, okay.
And then download it. And that app, you can have that app. You could know if you've got any problem about the delay in municipality, the delay, or even if you're in the private sector, a problem in insurance, even if it's not falling within the public protector, but it's a guide which you can go with.
Yes.
Then creating you to be your own liberator. And you can even help you and a young person, your own family, maybe delay in the processing of IDs, birth certificates, and all those. And then even nanige any hustlers, any business, you can make sure that you go to the website. You can go for yourself and check Wuchi. I'll just tell you now, I've just opened.
ppprotect.org, ne?
Yes. We have investigation, other contact us, tenders about us, complaints. Well, it's just on our landing page.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, if you can go there, you can then download that app. So,
and then I see you guys also have got vacancies.
Yes, we advertise there. Hence, I said people go to the websites of these institutions, go to our Twitter page, and read for yourself and see what we can do as these institutions. And I always also encourage. There's also a toll-free number there where you can call and ask for advice and complaints. There's a complaint email. We've got a Facebook page. We've got and all those. So, but by that I was saying, yes. There's the mobile. It's a mobile referral app.
ppprotect.org. Lastly, your 3 recommended books for young professionals out there.
the 3 recommended books for young professionals out there. You caught me by surprise.
Umsebenzi wakho ukufunda uyi-lawyer.
Phela ngithi mina I read a lot of training law books and that.
But I'm sure there's a lot of books.
No, there is. The first one, that book also challenged me a lot. It's Capitalist Nigger.
Capitalist Nigger, yeah.
I would encourage the youth, the hustlers, read that book. And I think what you are in that business, I mean, Capitalist Nigger, it shows you issue a spider web mentality. Which is certain racial groups, they work together to uplift themselves. I mean, you'd find in the Indian community, as an Indian person, is referring to in the US, this person was based there. Angaphelelwa ipetrol endleleni mhlambe let's say Soweto. Angathela kuphela ye-20 rand, but the full tank yakhe uyoyithela garage another community yakhe. Look at how the Pakistanis and the Bangladeshis are operating in the country, or Somalis. They are a community. Mabayo stock, they stock in bulk together. They get a discount and everything, then they share. So that will teach you, Nani, as young hustlers, blacks especially, because we're still very far. You need to work together. I mean, kuna issue yama cooperatives, but you find another issue here, land restitution. Hey, people who they can't work together, but allocate to the farm, they buy the farm, and they fight. So Mina will encourage you hustlers to read that book. Can we change our mentality and do that? I'm a person who believes a lot in the issue as parents, black parents, and even young generation. Yes, we need to go to school. Yes, we need to be educated, but can we diversify? As abazali, let's stay away from forcing our children with funda. Yothola umsebenzi. Can you funda and establish your own business? And I think we have a government also not encouraging a lot, or our education system now, it's so rigid and it's so elementary. I encourage you, people are skilled in various aspects. Use your skill, use your technical skill, use your arts. In South Africa, that is not yet encouraged, but I think I may have gone too far now. Capitalist Nigger, that's the first book you need to read for yourself and go through that. The other one, who's this? The very same thing, the usage of money, because I think this
Animal Farm.
Not the Animal Farm. Animal Farm, you can read Nayo. It shows what is currently happening, because the economy of the country is still in the white hands, unfortunately. A lot of them, they are still benefiting. A lot of them, they are still employing you. And most of the time, if some of us come up with recommendations to change the status quo, to open up the economy, to benefit others, then we are seen as enemies. But we are just trying to say, let's be equal, so that we can't have issues as a crime, issues, because it's at the end of the day, if you do that, the very same people who love my communities, one day they will just move from Alexander, cross the bridge and come to Sentin and just devour and eat everyone or whatever they can find. And so I think yourselves, can you change your mentality and make sure that everyone is benefiting? There's this
and maybe one last one.
There's this book, Kiyosaki.
Oh, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
That one.
Yeah, Robert Kiyosaki.
Yes,
ma'am.
It's also...
It'll financially liberate your mind.
Exactly. Unfortunately, I mentioned a lot of those which will liberate your mind. The other one, which I was also very attacked in media, was the one in the insides of the Reserve Bank. which was written by the late Stephen Goodson.
Or it's called The Insides of the Reserve Bank. Why were you attacked? You spoke about it in the media.
The book, that Godson is the one I interviewed for the Reserve Bank matter.
Okay.
How it operates. But that book also, I read it because my former CEO who is the one who gave me the book when I was investigating that CX matter. And then that's when I wanted to meet with Stephen Goodson to interview him to understand the operations and the innings of Reserve Bank. And that book is so scary because it shows you how the imperialism operates and the owners of the economies on the monies of various countries. It shows you from the emperor's times, Zabo, Napoleon, and everyone.
Yes,
each country or each king, each president would want to nationalize a reserve bank and own a reserve bank to benefit the public. A lot of them were assassinated. And it even shows the issue of Gaddafi. You remember Gaddafi, they promote the issue
one Africa, one currency.
And then oil and everything should benefit. Hence I'm saying if you are a person who will do anything to liberate the oppressed, you are seen as an enemy. But go and read that book. It's very, very challenging.
Inside the South African Reserve Bank, its origins and secrets exposed.
Exactly.
Stephen Mithad Goodson. It's available at Exclusive Books, guys, for 264. I'm going to go check this one out.
Well, may his soul rest in peace. Now he died mysteriously, and I was attacked because they also attacking him again, mainstream media, because he's said to be a person who said some anti-Jew statement and whatever, and anti-Semitic. I was not there. I was just reading for the sake of understanding this topic, so that to understand and meet the person. Unfortunately, again, there's that thing, Yoguti. Most of the time, you are controlled, or if the issue of a court of public opinion.
Yes.
Once umuntu ends something against a certain narration or a certain group, then those who are able to just attack that person. So, with my work, I can meet any person, any whistleblower, just to understand whatever we are investigating is all about. But that book as well is very interesting.
Thank you so much for your time. May you keep growing. Thank you for your bravery. Thank you for being a patriotic South African. Thank you for standing your truth. Thank you for being a person of principle, standing for what you believe in. Siyabonga for what you're doing for South Africa. History will judge you.
Definitely. Ngiyabonga kakhulu nawe to give me this opportunity. I appreciate it so much, because I understood when you said, can we talk? I said, definitely, so that people can hear for themselves from the horse's mouth.
Yes, ma'am.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu.
I'm looking forward to following your future endeavors. What are you up to next?
I'm still in the sphere of serving the public.
Okay, not business.
Liberating the
business.
No, in business, I'll be there as well.
Okay.
Especially organic farming.
Nice. Nice.
I think that is one area where we should also make sure we eat. People are eating. Sidilani issue in nutrition. Sidilani issue. We eat right. But yeah, I love business. Though I don't have a business, but I will be into that space.
Ladies and gentlemen, South Africa's public protector, Umama Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
See you guys on the next video.